Terri, we know that an awful lot has happened in the past few years in bringing to light what happened in these places. And something that's very important for you is that we do not call it a mother and baby home. It was never, you ended up in Bessborough, it was never a home.
Never.
It was never a home.
None of them were.
None of them were. What happened to you? How did you end up there?
I was abducted from London by the Catholic Crusade and Rescue Society.
So you were in Ireland and you became pregnant?
I was suspected I was pregnant.
Suspected. So you got out straight away?
Yeah.
So you went to England?
I did.
And what?
I got a good job in London and was quite happy there.
And you were planning on having your baby?
Oh, absolutely. I was never coming back.
So how did you end up back here?
I had a little accident and I went to the North Region Hospital and a lady came with a clipboard in between the doctor in the cubicle and asked me lots of questions and I innocently answered every one of them. And it turned out she was a social worker for the Catholic Crusade and Rescue Society.
You thought she was a nurse?
I thought she was an admin worker.
An admin worker in the hospital?
Yeah.
And she didn't identify herself as being from the Catholic Crusade?
No.
And how did it come to you getting back to Cork then? Did they have to transport? Like, how did that work?
I arrived home from work one evening and they were in my home, in my aunt's home. And they informed me that I had to go back to Ireland.
Who was in your aunt's home?
A priest and 2 nuns.
And they said, you have to go back to Ireland.
Yeah, they informed my aunt and myself.
And did they drive you back?
They put me in the car and they drove to Heathrow Airport. He was allowed to go through customs with me to get me on the plane. I was never on a plane in my life. And I was terrified of it going up in the sky, but I was also... Nobody told me anything except I had to go home to Ireland, that I had committed a crime, that the English state wouldn't look after me. I landed in this country, back in this country, with the clothes on my back. And then every day you'd be told, you know, if you try and even attempt to keep your baby, you would be so selfish to bring the baby down to the gutter that you lived in.
Wow.
So babies deserved mammies and daddies. If you were feeding your baby, you know, if you're caught with the baby up here, Niall loved to be up here.
This is your baby,
yeah,
Niall.
I named him Niall. Niall only exists for me. He's not known to anybody as Niall. Not my siblings, not my aunts and uncles, not even my other 3 adult children.
He was taken from you?
Yeah.
You had him in St. Pat's?
Sister Paul from Bessborough came back up in the car one Saturday morning. The bell used to go off. Your baby would either be in nurse 1 or 2. And the girls, even though we were told not to talk to each other, to make sure nobody knew who we were, so we could leave. And eventually, most of us got a ticket for the boat to go back to England. And those of us who weren't in England were encouraged to go to England to get away from the country, so nobody would know that we were stained, filthy, dirty girls. So, yeah, I'm not sure really how or what happened that day, except that I knew when I found out my baby was in nursery 1, locked nurseries. The only ones allowed in there with the clergy was people from pharmaceutical companies, people who wore jackets and, you know, strangers.
Yeah.
But when I went up at 10 o'clock feed, when the bell went off, the cot was empty.
He was gone?
Everything was gone except his clothes.
Do you know where Niall is?
I do, yeah, now. Yeah, he's 49 this year.
49?
Yeah.
He's safe?
He's safe. And that's the one thing women like myself, I only speak for myself. I prefer the mothers to speak out for themselves. But if they ask me to speak out, I do. But the one thing we need to know, number 1, that our child is alive. Number 2, that they were looked after but loved.
There's worry in the country, you know, that we've got institutions that people have been put into now, you know, whether it's direct provision or what's happening. Do you think the government have done enough, Terri, for people like you? You were the criminal. It wasn't the father of the child. It was you. who were criminalised and locked away from society, and we let it happen. Has enough been done to address that situation?
Sadly not. I'm a member of the Collaborative Forum. Catherine Sapone started it as Transitional Justice. Gave 3.5 years of my time and energy devoted, as many of the members did. And sadly we were let down. Our report wasn't allowed out. All the time, I'm nearly 20 years as a grassroots worker. I run groups and stuff like that. I'm a people's person. The social media has lots of groups on it, but it's good that we can converse inside Leinster House rather than stand outside.
Yeah,
absolutely.
But the one thing I would appeal to all ministers right now, there's 2 bills going forward currently, and I'd appeal to them to please listen to us.